So recently when I was scrolling through the Roblox homepage, I noticed that generally the realistic roleplay games don't have as many players as the non-realistic roleplay games. Now what do I mean by this? Well, let me show you. This right here is Jupiter, Florida, a quite new roleplay game. It has an active player count of almost 300 right now, and it was created this summer. That's actually kinda insane. But this game isn't super realistic or anything like that. It's a great game, by the way. I'm not saying the game is bad. I'm just saying that it isn't as super realistic as, for example, Law Country. Yet it has a lot more players on the game. Now this can probably be explained in many different ways and shapes, but let's say we go to Southwest Florida. It has an active player count of 4,300 right as we speak. Greenville 1.1k, ULC almost 2k, Emergency Hamburg 2,000 players. You can already see the pattern. These not so complicated roleplay games are getting a lot more active players than the actual complicated roleplay games. So if I take a quite realistic roleplay game, for example, like Maple County, they only have about 54 active players right as we speak. And this, of course, can differ between the times we're in, but generally speaking, these more realistic roleplay games aren't as active. So here, for example, we got UKRP, and a video I did 1 year ago on this game actually garnered me almost 300,000 views, which is insane, by the way. This game is not even up on Roblox right now. I don't know why, but recently I haven't seen their player counts be up there in the masses either. And then, of course, we got Paris, one of Roblox's most realistic roleplay games as well, which also is really popular on my channel. It doesn't have a lot of active players either. This is so strange in my opinion, because I enjoy these games a lot more than most of those not so realistic roleplay games. And that's just my taste, basically. Yet, they don't get many players at all. And I'm gonna tell you why. So I think there are 3 main reasons to why this is happening. The first one might sound a little funny, but it could be true. Some devices can probably not handle the game's intensity or size. So maybe some people can't even play these more realistic roleplay games because their devices can't handle it. The second thing makes a lot of sense in my opinion, and that could be that the games themselves are too complicated. And honestly, some of these games can be quite complicating, especially when first checking them out. If I can give you an example, we have Paris, where you have manual cars. We have Maple County with some extremely advanced systems, and then Law Country, which doesn't have that many features in it yet. That game is kind of missing a little bit of scripting, so it makes more sense why the game isn't super popular yet. But I think if they put in more work with the scripting part of the game, that game is probably gonna bloom sooner or later. And reason number 1, there isn't enough stuff to do. If you have ever played ERLC, you know that there's a lot of stuff you can do in that game. You know, the map is huge. You can do these quests and challenges, etc. You have a bunch of different private servers you can join up, etc, etc. I believe that all of these facts combined, especially that simplicity part, makes these more unrealistic roleplay games more popular on the platform due to how simple they are and how easy they are to play. You know, Roblox mainly consists of a younger audience, so the simplicity probably helps out a lot in terms of getting players on, even though some of these more realistic roleplay games might be more fun to play. Now, I'm only speaking from my own experience here. You might think something completely different to me, but I have this idea that this might be the case, and honestly, simplicity can do a lot of deeds done. I can give you another great example. Here we got a game called Rightfall, a really cool game, right? It currently has 56 players on. Here we got a game called Gunfight Arena, and this game has over 6,000 players. And honestly, this does not look even remotely as close to as realistic to, for example, Rightfall. And the main reason I think is due to how simple some of these other games are. Now, I want to hear your thoughts in the comments down below, what you think of this. Am I right? Am I wrong? You let me know. Now, you must remember that realistic doesn't always mean good. You know, a prime example of this is Battlefield 5 and Battlefield 1. Most people choose Battlefield 1 over Battlefield 5 because of the authenticity given in Battlefield 1. Yet you might argue that Battlefield 5 has better graphics, but it really didn't get to the players' minds because they wanted to be immersed in the game itself. And now there are many different genres on Roblox, etc. But in the roleplay world, it's basically a criminal goes up and shoots a cop, then more cops come and start chasing the person. And that right there is what many people fall for. Many developers forget that that they gotta have multiple features in game so that the players can actually have stuff to do. And speaking of reality, that's why some of these bigger roleplay games on Roblox are getting so much attention rather than the more realistic ones, and it's simply due to how many features are implemented into their games. The prime example of this is if you're playing Star Wars Florida, there's 100 jobs you can play, and in Paris there's, I don't know what, 6 teams and one of them being a civilian job. Yeah, you can already spot the difference here. Now of course there's more stuff to it, the cars, the type of players, are you working towards something? And that is actually quite a good point right there, because if you have a challenge in which you can unlock a new car, you're gonna have a bunch of people get on the game just to get that new car, and then they're gonna do that challenge, making the game a lot more active. This is great, especially during Halloween, Christmas, Easter, you name it. Now another thing might be events. If you're playing on a private Greenville server, you might have a tornado go out, or you might have some kind of crazy event, some highway role plays, whatever. And something that many games forget, especially in the realistic world, is to add different events like that. Now you got to remember that Roblox wasn't made to be realistic. It was made to be fun and like a creative space for developers to work in. And the more creative you are and the more fun the players have in game, the more players you're gonna gain. Now of course there might be other factors included, for example how old your audience is. If you have an audience of 11-year-olds, maybe they aren't gonna be playing some hyper-realistic roleplay game, but then the older ones might be doing that, and the less older ones might be playing something else, and that makes total sense. And this video was not to trash talk anything or anybody, it was just out of pure education so you kind of get my thoughts and ideas behind why this might be happening, because it's something that I've actually noticed the past year or so, that the more realistic roleplay games don't tend to do as well as the less realistic ones. Now this is obviously something you can go even more in depth with, but I'm not gonna do that today. I'm not really too excited about telling you all about every little piece of thing that could be the potential reason behind this happening. I'm just letting you know the general idea behind what could be the reason, and then you can think about it yourself and leave a comment if you have anything else to add on to what I've just said. Maybe you think I'm wrong, then let me know in the comments down below, because I could of course be wrong, but there are definitely a few factors included in why this is happening. Generally speaking, Brookhaven is a lot more popular than ERLC, yet I find ERLC to be a lot more fun than Brookhaven. You understand me? It's a game of perception basically. What you enjoy, what you don't enjoy, what is the easiest, what makes the simple game so much more popular. Well, it's simple, it's easy to understand, children understands it easier, everybody else does, and simplicity can actually bring a lot of fun to it. There are so many games that have actually gone from being like super basic to being super advanced, which has actually kind of caused their games to die, and I sadly think that's kind of what we're seeing here. Law Country, for example, we were so hyped about, everyone was excited to play this game, it was going to be the best roleplay game on Roblox, yet it only has like 3 active players as I'm currently talking right here. Now the game does look amazing, don't get me wrong, but there is really not much you can do in the game itself, and that is a huge issue, especially if you're going to be competing with ERLC and Star Wars Florida. Remember that the more content you give, the more feedback you receive. So if you have 100 features, you're going to get a lot more feedback than if you have only 50. So add 100 features and then see what happens from there. No, but really, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hope this video suited you well. And yeah, hope to see you in the next one as well. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.